So it's coming time for me to put this in the truck where it belongs. I have a clutch kit on the way for it. I can get that big plate off of there because we're not using that. I have a clutch kit on the way. I have a carb kit on the way. And I pretty much want to clean it and paint it before we stick it in. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. I probably need to bag the distributor, bag the carburetor, and take as much off as I can before I wash it. Probably the coil should come off, stuff like that. So, yes. So I got the important stuff bagged and orifices capped off and stuff like that. Then I went ahead and I sprayed it with what little degreaser I had. I thought I had more, but I got some on there where most of the grease is gonna be. So we'll do that and clean it up and see what happens. If it's not enough degreaser, I'll go in and get some oven cleaner or something and do it up. Let the degreaser soak in for a bit now. I'm gonna give it a hose off, being careful of like the starter and all that stuff. It should be fine, but I just worry over nothing. So as you saw, I took out the fan shroud and I hammered it smooth. It was all bent and twisted. and I rust trapped the inside first. I do have to still rust trap the outside. And then I pulled off motor mounts, cleaned them up with a wire wheel, and rust trapped those as well. So those are ready to go, ready to drop in. And the new clutch is right here. We're getting close. Getting close. Actually, this one doesn't look too bad. It's a Gates hose. Where can you see that? Right there, it's a Gates hose. But this one here, that one's all split. When I took it off, it split, and I could see in, oh, right there. So I need a new one of these hoses, but it'll be easier once I get this engine put in the truck and I put the radiator back in and everything, and see where everything goes. Well, I feel foolish. I masked this thing, prepped it, and gave it the old pss, 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 pss here with this, and I forgot to hit the record button. So, yep. The basic gist of it is I did a hard tape line right there at the head, and then I used cheap tin foil to wrap things like hoses and dipstick tubes and, you know, oil filters, and then I just taped up over this here gauge and pretty much just gave her the old tss, tss, as our buddies over at Vice Grip Garage say. And she looks about 100% better than that there. Now that's the original-ish color, I think. You can see two colors. You can see there's like this one here and that one there. To the best of my ability, I went to the store and went through their engine enamel. This is the high temp, high heat stuff. And I tried to get one as close as I could. Now, it's not going to be factory color. It's not going to look anything perfect, you know. But I like that color. I will definitely take that color. And before I did this, I used 5 cans of degreaser on this engine. I pressure washed the whole thing. I wire wheeled the whole thing. And after I pressure washed it, I let it bake in the sun for a good 4 hours back in July. So I'm hoping most of the moisture came out. Just a general thing. I don't know how well this is going to stick because I didn't get the engine acid dipped. Because I didn't want to pull it apart completely because it is running and it is going. I just wanted it to not look like this, but covered in grease and much worse. Before all that, I pulled off the radiator. I pulled off this chunk of the, what do you call it, radiator support in the front that was welded right here. I welded another bar across the engine stand so it didn't flop around too much. And I just pulled off whatever I didn't need on here, or whatever was easy to pull off pretty much. And I pinned it up, and now hopefully all I have to do is put on the new clutch, and then hopefully we can drop it in tomorrow is the goal. I do have to get new radiator hoses. Alright, so while I'm in here, I'm replacing the pilot bearing for this guy because it came with the kit. So what I've done is I had a spark plug threading tool, and that fit right into the end of the old pilot bearing. And the old pilot bearing is made out of brass, so it threaded its way in there perfectly. And I got a big washer here and a pickle fork, and I'm just going around and tapping it out of there. And as you can see right there, it's starting to come out already. You want to be gentle. You don't want to mar anything up or break anything. Take it easy going in, take it easy coming out. And 2 seconds, she'll be out of here, hopefully. Boom, she's out. You can see on there, it's obviously I broke some of the threads using the pickle fork to get it out. But clean this out, and then we get the new one. Slip right in. I might stick this in the freezer for a little bit so it slides in nice and easy. Alright, I got the new pilot bearing put in there. I put it in the freezer, make it cold, popped it in, and then used a piece of wood with a rubber mallet there, and tapped her in there until it sits right flush. You can actually put your finger in there, two small enough fingers, and there's a little lip it sits against right there. If you don't feel the lip, you're good. Now I gotta put the flywheel back on and torque those down. Go down here in the manual. Flywheel bolts, integral washer, 1:1 to 116. So I'm gonna put it practically right in the middle, probably go 110 or so. And of course, do a star pattern on that. Got that all torqued down. I'm gonna grab a piece of cloth abrasive paper just to take this surface rust off as much as I can. It's not warped or pitted, or I can't feel any lines in it. I just don't want that surface rust on there. And then I'll come back with some brake clean and clean that up before I put the new clutch on, which will be right here. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and find a tap this size and clean up the threads on the flywheel for the clutch cover. So I got that there surface cleaned up, and I'm ready to go with this guy. New clutch, as you can see, gearbox side, and you use this handy dandy tool here in the splines to hold it in place, and then you put your clutch cover at the top. So Dad went ahead and took the bucket off the tractor here and put on a fork attachment we made years and years ago. We might weld on some hooks or something right here for chains to pick up that engine. Also, we picked up that engine with the bucket before, and we didn't have much curling space between the bucket and the fenders, so we want to eliminate that. So we're going to try this route and see if this goes any better. So Pops built it so that the forks will be adjustable here with these holes. All you do is you pull this spring-loaded pin and you pull this in and out however long you need the forks. And then these here slide on these here. So you can get whatever width you want and whatever length you need. I think we're just going to end up using one fork to pick up the engine. So should be good there. So we got this little girl stabbed in here, and we pretty much reconnected everything we could. We messed with the clutch sleeve cylinder and master cylinder. We messed with the brakes a little bit. We took a look at wiring and stuff and all that fun jazz, but I'm gonna need to buy a bunch of parts and stuff before we get this thing running. And the radiator I have doesn't fit this truck because it's for a Datsun 510 car and not the truck, so it's a little wider and shorter height-wise. So I'm gonna have to make some brackets or something to make it fit. And I need a lower radiator hose. The upper one's fine, but the lower one has a hole in it. So, will it run video is gonna be the next video. But look at that, she's sitting right where she needs to be. The new clutch installed, new, pretty much everything back there. So the story behind this engine, I think I went over it in the Will It Run video, and we got it running on the cart that you saw me take it off in the beginning of this video. The story of this was, I didn't know what engine I was putting in here. I had the original stock, what is it, a 1700cc engine. I think if you look over there on the tag, 1770. You can see right there on the top of the tag, 1770. So I had that engine in this, but it was all in pieces. Someone had taken it apart to do a valve cover gasket or a head gasket or a timing kit or something, and never put it back together. So it was full of junk pretty much, and it was in pieces. So while this thing was on the back burner, Pops was tooling around on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist like we all do because we have problems, and he found this engine, which, as you can see right here, is a 1600. This actually came out of a 1972 Datsun 510 car. So that popped up on Craigslist. The guy that was selling it was like, it came with the house, it's in the basement or something. And the guy that owned it before was a Harvard engineering professor. So what he had done was he was using this engine to power a welder. So he had jimmy rig bodged some stuff here onto the clutch plate, and that was running his welder apparently. So I got all the stuff for that except for the generator, but I have no need for it. So I took all that off, and then we verified that this ran, and then we pretty much cleaned it up. I painted it, and we shoved her down in there and in the power barn where she belongs. I looked up the differences between the two engines, and there really isn't too much. The bell housing bolts are all the same. All that is all the same. The clutches are all the same. The only difference is between the 1770 and the 1600 is like 3 horsepower or something. But that truck is tiny, so it really doesn't matter. Especially since I don't really plan on driving it down the highway or anything like that. I'll probably just tool it around, maybe take it off-road a little bit because it has that crazy lift on it. But yeah, I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm not going to really go fast anywhere with it, so I really don't care about losing that 3 horsepower, and the engine was super cheap. It was like $100 or something, so I can't really complain, and we stabbed it in there and it fits. So hopefully we're going to get it running and driving in the truck probably springtime-ish, I think, but we'll see. It's getting cold here already. It's usually down to like anywhere between 20 and 33-ish right now all the time. So I have the furnace right here in the shop, but as you can see, the shop is small, so I don't have a ton of space in here. So I'm going to work on what I can. I'm going to make as many videos as I can over the winter. But Pop's projects outside, all the cars themselves are outside. So we have like parts, like I got a door, I got a Model A cowl, engine parts, another door back here. There's the cowl. No, that's the one of the hood supports for the Datsun. And the Datsun's hood can come in to get the rust work done. So we have some stuff we're going to try to crank up, but when it gets cold, and the snow comes, we have to clean that up and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to try to at least put out one video a month, but we're going to play it by ear and see how she goes. This is our second winter in, and last winter we just stopped posting pretty much because we ran out of content. I stacked a little bit more this year, but I'm hoping, I think we got enough video clips for those videos. I might not. I don't know. I gotta look through my folders and see what I got. But we're gonna keep plugging away as much as we can. And I'm probably gonna keep making the little short videos over on TikTok and maybe some shorts over here on YouTube. So stick with us. Thanks for watching.